Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Solo Leveling, Season 1, Episode 11, A Knight Who Defends an Empty Throne. Episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happened in the episode. So, bulk of the episode is Jinwoo beginning his job change quest. It starts off with him entering into a dungeon-like space where he's not able to use recovery items or, well, basically he's stuck in his current status. It can only go down, he can't recover from it, he can't level up, etc. And he starts off by fighting a variety of armor monsters, each of them having a different weakness and requiring a different stat skill, like strength, intelligence, agility, sixth sense, etc., to be able to defeat them. And he fights his way into a final room where he meets what he considers the boss, and thinks is the final stage, and he fights the knight Igris, who is a very tough opponent who he really only defeats because Igris is chivalrous. So when Jinwoo throws away his weapons, putting his last on strength, Igris then follows suit and drops all of his weapons and his cape too to be, even things up with him, which allows Jinwoo to then fight him, though he still is almost defeated, ultimately ending up thrown into the empty throne that's sitting there. And Igris comes to give him the final blow, picking up his sword once again, and Jinwoo, in a last burst of strength, says he's not been defeated yet and pulls out his daggers from his inventory in order to ultimately defeat Igris. However, one of the rewards of defeating Igris is a teleportation stone out of the job change quest, which makes him realize that that in fact was not the final stage. And we see that the next stage is about to begin, and he has very high fatigue, very little mana points, and very little health points left. And we see portals opening in which all of the previous armor types come out in droves, and his goal is to stay alive as long as he possibly can. And after he realizes he's not going to be able to defeat all of these monsters, he goes to use the teleportation stone, but isn't fast enough, and it ends up being knocked out of his hand, leaving him in the lurch. And that is the cliffhanger this episode ends on. While that's happening, there's like a few minutes where we see Jin-ho having dinner with his dad and his older brother, where they discuss the creation of the guild and what his older brother is doing to recruit S-class hunters. Then we have another brief little scene where Choi Jung-in or Choi Young-in? I can't see. I think that's a Y actually. Yeah, Choi Young-in. Anyways, the red-headed one that uses fire leads a team to scout Jeju Island and says that it's a long time coming, and he does so with the chairman's permission. But that's everything that happened in this episode. The main bulk was Jinwoo and his job change quest. So now that we've been reminded what happened in the episode, we will rank the episode first on our mostly objective ranking list, followed by the personal ranking list. So, single episode supporting character introduction, Yoo Sung. This is Jinho's brother. Honestly, I don't know how many episodes he appears in. He's incredibly forgettable, and he plays a very minor role in the background, and therefore, while he may show up in other episodes, I don't know. I don't think he's worth more than 1 point, which is why I decided to give him single episode supporting character status, even if he may not be. This is where my bias and judgment can come in and why it's only mostly objective. And then we have our multi-season supporting character introduction, which of course is Igris, who was defeated here, but he will not stay down. Spoilers. Though again, this is a rewatch, so everyone should know that Igris rises again as a Jinwoo subordinate. and does carry on into the next season. So he's worth 3 points, bringing us to 4 so far. And then we, of course, have the 4 points for the multi-season main character development, which is Jinwoo entering his job change quest and defeating the first 2 phases of it. That leaves us as an 8 out of 10 for this episode, because there were no negatives in my opinion. That brings the season rankings so far to, in first, I'm used to it. If I had one more chance, it's like a game, a pretty good deal. The real hunt begins. Let's see how far I can go. I've got to get stronger. You've been hiding your skills. What is this, a picnic? This episode comes in 10th place, a knight who defends an empty throne. This is frustrating. And then How to Get Stronger is currently in last place. Personal ranking. Well, these are the type of episodes that I've been waiting for. The ones that are heavy in the action, the special effects, very Jinwoo heavy because, okay, so I'm a huge fan of the manhwa for Solo Leveling. It's one of my most reread manhwas. And one of the things I liked most about the manhwa that the anime unfortunately has not lived up to is the heavy focus on a singular character, titled Solo Leveling. Apart from the Jeju Island arc, pretty much the entire manhwa was focused on Jin-woo. As the main character, we were following his point of view, his actions when he interacted with other people. The manhwa interacted with other people, but it mostly stayed in Jinwoo's perspective, which I very greatly liked because I personally prefer to only have to follow one character and be attached to one character. I don't necessarily like all of this back and forth and stuff. And one of the choices the anime made was to heavily foreshadow future arcs early and early introduce other characters and spend a lot of time going into other characters' points of view and things that Jinwoo maybe found out later, but now we're seeing sooner through their perspectives. I'm not as big a fan of that, but this is one of the episodes again that I like the most because very Jinwoo heavy and there was a lot of action, a lot of fighting. He uses equipment and defeats Igris, who of course we know is going to come back and be awesome. I like Igris's chivalry. I do not think he would have won had Igris not thrown away his weapons when Jinwoo decided to go hand to hand. But overall, I felt that it was really good. It even leaves us on an interesting cliffhanger with Jinwoo fighting very, very difficult odds. His escapes gone sliding across the floor to who knows where. It's very exciting. And it was very entertaining. It was very engaging of my attention while I was watching it. And therefore, I decided to give this a 9 out of 10. The reason it's a 9 and not a 10, again, is that we did waste time on other people's points of view. We did spend time on, like the scouting mission to Jeju Island. And frankly speaking, Jeju Island was my least favorite arc in the entire series because it spent so little time on the main character I cared about and spent so much time with other people that I didn't care about as much. And so all of this foreshadowing, I would just rather focus on the job change quest and all of that action. I really don't need the other stuff, and that's why I took a point for it. And so with this now being a 9 out of 10, we have our personal ranking with in first, The Real Hunt Begins. Second is this episode, a knight who defends an empty throne. Then You've Been Hiding Your Skills. Let's see how far I can go. A Pretty Good Deal. I've Got to Get Stronger. What is this, a picnic? It's like a game. This is frustrating. I'm used to it. If I Had One More Chance. And then in last place for me is How to Get Stronger. But that now brings us to the series rankings, and on our mostly objective ranking, we're at 99 out of a possible 103. No, 130. And then the personal ranking for season 1 is at 76 out of a possible 130, with 1 episode to go. But with that, we've now rewatched and ranked Solo Leveling season 1 episode 11, A Knight Who Defends an Empty Throne. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.